Greetings, car fanatics. So it's been officially 2 years since I've owned my 2008 Porsche Cayenne Turbo, and people really love to talk about how terrible of a car this is. Well, I'm not necessarily going to disagree with all the comments. I think the car is a fun SUV to drive, but it's certainly expensive to own, especially for a used car. In this video, I'm going to talk about the total cost of ownership so far in my 2-year ownership experience. Let's start by taking a look at all of the maintenance expenses on this vehicle. Okay, so when I first got the vehicle, I spent $40 on smog test. This is pretty standard. Next, I got a new set of Continental all-season tires, and this cost just under $1,400. I then had an alignment, which was $100. I changed out the air filters myself for around $36. I then changed out the cabin air filter for $20. And about 2 months after owning the vehicle, I had the ignition coils go out, so I had to replace the ignition coils, the spark plugs, and the engine torque damper. All the parts came out to $621. Then I changed out the brake fluid myself, and I just spent $30 on fluid. I had the oil change and tires rotated at my independent mechanic. I would have done the oil change myself, but I was in a rush, so I had to get it done there, and it came out to $343. Shortly after owning the vehicle for 1 year, I decided to replace the serpentine belt for preventative maintenance. This was $142. I simply purchased the belt and gave it to my independent mechanic, who charged me $95 to install it. And for the second issue I had, the vacuum pump started to leak and I was getting a check engine light, but I had my aftermarket warranty cover this. It was a little under $1,000, but I only paid $250 for my deductible. Only a couple thousand miles later, I discovered that the vehicle had developed a coolant leak. This was due to the thermostat housing, and all of this work came out to just under $1,700, but again, I only paid $250 for my warranty deductible. And after that, the car had been pretty reliable. I did an oil change for $70 and then rotated the tires, and that was free. A few thousand miles later, I did another oil change for $70 again. Then just this past summer, I was on a road trip, and I guess a rock had hit my fog light and broke that. I purchased a new one for $57 and installed that myself. And 2 months ago, I had all of the drivetrain fluids changed, so the transfer case, the transmission, the front and rear differentials, and that came out to just under $500 with parts and labor. And my most recent big service was the front suspension. I had the upper and lower control arms along with the strut top mounts and sway bar end links all replaced under warranty, along with the drive shaft support bearing. This came out to about $2,700, but I only paid $250 to cover this under my warranty. And while I was at it, I did have them replace the sway bar bushing, and this was $167. And most recently, I changed out the rear brakes myself on my Cayenne. I purchased these TRW ceramic brake pads off Amazon, and I got them for a steal. They were only $14, whereas they're normally around $80 for the brake pads. And then I purchased the Brembo rear rotors on Amazon, and that was $156. Alright, so before we can calculate our total maintenance expense, we do have to factor the aftermarket warranty. It was $3,400 for a 3-year period, but prorated for 2 years, this comes out to $2,266 for the period. So the total maintenance cost over 2 years comes out to $7,222.68. Now, before we can get to our total cost of ownership, I'm going to need to factor in registration, insurance, fuel, and depreciation. So 2017 registration and insurance came out to $15,050. The 2018 registration and insurance came out to $1,240. And gas, I've driven 21,000 miles in my 2 years of ownership, and at $3.20 per gallon on average and 15 miles MPG, this comes out to just under $4,500 in gas. This gives us a 2-year total running cost of $14,492.88, but now it's time to factor in the big hit, which is depreciation. I purchased the vehicle for $26,000, and conservatively, I think the vehicle is probably worth maybe $18,000, hopefully a little bit more if I sell it to someone who actually appreciates all the maintenance work I've done to the vehicle. But I estimate that the vehicle has probably depreciated around $8,000 over this 2-year period. So factoring everything in, the 2-year total cost of ownership is just under $22,500. This is a lot of money, and if you break it out annually, it's about $11,200 per year, or 54 cents per mile. Now, all in all, the 2008 Porsche Cayenne Turbo, as you can see, is not a cheap car to own. You might be able to pick one up for under $20,000, but it's still a expensive $100,000 plus luxury SUV that you need to maintain in order for it to drive and operate properly. Now, to put things into perspective, I'm going to compare the total cost of ownership of this vehicle against some new and used vehicles. So according to Edmunds, if you were to purchase a 2012 BMW X5M, you could get one for about $26,000. The total cost of ownership for 5 years would come out to just under $78,000 for a total of around $15,500 per year for an X5M. If you look at a 2018 Porsche Cayenne S with a price of around $96,000, you're going to look at a total cost of ownership on average of $22,000 per year for the first 5 years. This is a ton of money. A 2018 Macan S with a $70,000 price would cost you just under $17,000 per year. A 2018 Mercedes GLC for $47,000 would cost you a little over $13,000 per year. A 2018 Jeep Wrangler with a base price of around $42,000 would cost you a little over $9,000 per year to own. And now let's talk about some affordable options. A 2018 Honda CR-V base LX model would cost you around $26,000, and the total cost of ownership would be, on average, a little over $7,000 per year. And finally, looking at the cheapest car in the country according to Google, it's the 2018 Ford Fiesta S. You can purchase one brand new for $15,000, but surprisingly, the total cost of ownership still comes out to just under $6,000 per year. So as you can see, the Porsche Cayenne Turbo is definitely an expensive vehicle to own, but you do have to put things into perspective and compare it to some other new and used cars on the market. It's definitely by no means cheap because, again, it's a $100,000 SUV that requires a lot of maintenance. If you're considering one of these, definitely just know what you're getting into before you make that purchase, because you don't want to be in a situation where you think you're just purchasing a $16,000 car and end up spending over $10,000 per year. Well, thanks for watching, Car Fanatics. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Leave any questions or comments below.